Hey, it's Dell Jackson. We got a special LL Hoops Zoom today. We got our LL referee plan in here. They're going to talk about new rules. We got Gary Marinchin and Chuck Snyder. I always get the name wrong. It's just Gary to me. So, when the coaches are yipping at the refs, they don't go to last names too much. It's like, hey, Chuck, what the heck was that, Chuck? So we'll go from there. All right, how you doing, Gary?
Very good, very good. Thank you.
Good. Hey, what shirt do you got on?
A little Kentucky. I'm celebrating. It's been a while since a big victory, so I'm
Yeah, with
celebrating last night.
with a new team, man. A new
Yeah,
team. Hey, where did Pope come from? Where did he coach?
he was coaching at BYU last year.
Okay, and I was like, I knew he coached someplace, and
Yeah,
that's a heck of a win coming in from what it'll be interesting to see how they build from here on out. I mean, he was kind
sure.
of strapped coming into this season, and he picked up some good pieces. So we'll see
Yep.
how that goes. And I'm sure when they play Arkansas that there'll be a lot of fan interest in that game.
February 1st.
Oh, you already got it on the calendar.
Got
It's like no game for Gary that day, no high school. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
out. I'm out. All right, we got Chuck Snyder here with us. Hi, Chuck. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, Dell. Appreciate the opportunity to hang with you and talk some b-ball.
Yeah, yeah. I actually enjoy learning the rules, and if there is any new rules, because every once in a while we'll get some comments. It's like, well, wasn't that backcourt or something like that? And it's good to be knowledgeable. And I know you guys already had your rules meeting with the coaches and the referees, and some of our scorekeepers and such and fans, they kind of miss that. So we'll start with Gary, and you guys, you and Chuck can deal with the new rules. So Gary, what do you got for us? New rules, high school this year.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot, as far as new rules this year. The biggest one is the flopping rule that they've adopted from college, we'll say. But that goes for the offense or defense. The last couple of years, anyone who's watched high school basketball sees that kid dribbling, throwing his head back like he's getting, you know, beat up, and they're trying to get that out of the game, both from an offensive side, the 3-point shooter that shoots and then falls for no reason. Then the defensive player who just acts like he just got hit by a tank and there was barely any contact. So they're handling that through first one's a warning, warning for and Chuck, correct me if I'm wrong, warning for the team, not for the individual. And
That's
then the
correct.
second one would be a technical.
That's
Everyone after that would be a technical. I don't see it coming into play a whole lot. We've talked to the kids this summer. Chuck and I actually, I think I was with you, Chuck, at the Nook one time, and a kid was doing it. And we talked to him, educated him a little bit, and he stopped doing it. And I think through talking to kids this summer, I think it's not going to be a big problem. I think they think it's going to be a bigger problem, but we'll talk to the kids maybe early in the season. It could be a warning here and there, but we'll talk to them, we'll help them, and hopefully it won't be a problem. So, and it's the last couple of years ago, it's gotten bad with that head bob throwing back. It just looks bad.
Mhm. I think the warning is. I think that's a good idea. I think that should take the sting out of some things as far as both the coaches and the players. But I am interested. Is that like a coach's warning? So you get one warning and then it happens again. It's a technical. Does the technical count as a team foul, or is it just a
No, it's just it's just a team technical is what it's called, not a team foul, just a team technical, for lack of a better term. Um,
so the player that's flopping either way, offense or defense,
mhm.
there's no penalty except on the second time that it's a technical foul, two shots in the
Two
ball.
shots in the ball. Yeah, yeah. So he can, if he has four fouls and does it, and it's a technical, he doesn't foul out because
Got
of
it.
that.
Got it.
So, which
Got it.
would be, I think, a little severe if he did. So I think they're treating it the right way.
Interesting. Interesting. Anything else new on the
Well,
on the
still no shot clock. We still haven't gotten there yet. So I think it'll come eventually. It's not there yet. And then the only other administrative thing is, in the past, if a kid got hurt, like blood, something like that, they had to leave the game unless a timeout. Now they have 20 seconds to quick wrap up that cut or whatever and keep them in the game without a timeout.
what if
So
what if the trainer comes out on the floor and then do they have to take them out? Or
They then it goes back to the same rules as before, where they have to take them out or call a timeout to keep them in.
okay, so you guys see blood on a guy and you say, hey,
Yep.
go over see the trainer real quick, and then do you tell the scorekeeper to
We
start?
go to the table. We'll go to the table and say 20 seconds on the clock. Start it. They'll hit the horn at 15. So almost right away, they're hitting the horn with 15 seconds left. And then by the time the second horn, the kid has to be ready. But a lot of times it's a quick spraying of that stuff on the jersey, get it wiped up quick, or wrap some tape around their arm or something. So I think that's a positive change too.
Okay. All right. All right. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of scenarios. So you're saying with the blood on the jersey, they can use the spray stuff, which
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
all the schools have that, or
Oh
most
yeah.
have
Yeah.
that.
But
And
yeah, business as usual. If we call a coach out to the floor, whether they come or not, as long as we beckon them, kid has to leave the game
okay.
unless a timeout, or if
Okay.
the trainer runs out, has to leave the game.
Okay.
That's same as it always was.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right.
I
What
believe
else?
that was it. There was an
That it?
administrative one. If a kid dunks in warmups, it used to be on the head coach, and now it's just a team technical. The coach doesn't lose his standing rights anymore. It's just a team technical. So,
All right. All right. All right. You veterans. Let's start with Chuck. Chuck, how many technicals have you called for dunking and pregame?
I have maybe a couple over 30 years, not many.
Okay.
I think I've seen it at McCaskey on occasion.
Okay.
You have to remember the LL, not many of us can dunk. So that may eliminate some of that. But I have had to, in fact, last one was a McCaskey York game, and the York guy coach happened to see the dunk during warm.
You and I were on that game. You and me and
Both of
Kyle,
us?
I think, were on that game. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, you don't see it, too often. Sometimes they get close. And again, a little word as they come by to refresh their memory that they're not in an open gym, and don't do anything silly. So you have to enforce that type of situation. So, but again, if somebody has a moment, then you have to take care of it and move forward from it.
So let me ask you this, because I go to a lot of games. I try to be there at a decent time. When do you guys take ownership of the game? Is it 10 minutes before tip, or as soon as you guys come out of the locker room, or if one coach sees another guy dunking and say, dude, you guys missed that. They've been hammering them left and right. I mean, how do you deal with some things?
Yeah, it's by rule, I believe they want us there 15 minutes before tip off. Again, sometimes you're there a minute and a half later than that, and again, until you're up there and in your spots and visibly counting and looking at the players, I would not be able to call something that happened on minute 16. You don't want to go looking for trouble, but again, once we get up to the floor, our duties start. But again, by rule, they like to have you up there around 15-minute mark, so you get a good look at them warming up and pre-gaming things.
Let me go crazy here. So I'm at a JV game. JV refs are on the floor. The half ends and the varsity guys come out, and they're hammering it home before the JV guys come out. Is there anything there or nothing?
There's no penalty for that. Again, one would hope game management coaches, if varsity officials wanted to say something because you didn't want them to break the glass before you start it and have a moment there from Shaquille O'Neal. Again, preventive officiating or just preventative, words of wisdom that, hey, you want to shoot around for 10, that's what you're there for, not to have a dunk contest. But there's no penalty from sitting in the stands, and I see Billy, number 15, dunk it with 8 minutes left in the JV halftime. But again, you would hope game management and coaches take care of that, or it could be a nightmare just because a rim breaks or a backboard breaks, that type of.
Yeah, that leads me down to another question. So I have no script here today, but as you guys talk, I got my coaching hat on. I'm like, okay, what happens there? What happens there? And I don't know. And so in the LL, you guys have done probably every gym in the LL at least once. Do we have any gyms that have the standard rims that aren't the breakaways? Do you guys know offhand?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember being in one of the junior highs in the city, and boy, they had busted up rims, and I was like, well, they should really have collapsible rims here because you get rec guys coming in, and those guys are heavy and they can jump and do some stuff. So, all right, that's interesting. I'm gonna watch that this year. That's gonna be one of my goals. Every gym that I see, I'm gonna say, oh, okay, there's all these are collapsible. So, yeah, let's go back to Gary. Gary, I think I know the answer to this, but what's the most difficult thing for you as an official to call during a game?
Ooh, great. That's a great question, Dell. It really depends on the game. I mean, if you're I would say the hand checking aspect of it, because you always got to be looking at advantage disadvantage. That's how I know Chuck and I have worked a lot of games. We do pregame conferences. We talk about that. It's advantage disadvantage. The hands there, but the kid's getting past them. We don't want to blow the whistle and give the advantage back to the defense because we stopped the play. So I would say hand checking, because it happens so quickly and you have to judge, did that happen? Did that affect the play? Did it stop number 15 from getting past, or was the hand just touched him real quick and it was gone? So that's what I would say would be the hardest call, because it's so quick. And depending on, now if it's McCaskey and Chester playing, they want to play that way. So we may call it a little looser, as long as it's the same on both ends of the court.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. We got to be consistent on both ends of the court. Where maybe if it's two teams that don't have skilled ball handlers, we can't let that go, because no one's getting by anybody at that point.
Right.
But the biggest thing we got to watch is if one team's doing it, the other team's not, we have to make sure we're enforcing it on that one end.
Yep. I'll throw it to you, Chuck. Hardest call.
I still believe a block charge, boom boom, is at every level is a challenging call. And again, angle, positioning, those things all come into play as to what you hopefully see very clearly and very succinctly, that you'll want to get the call right and get a call right quickly. I don't want to blow my whistle and 5 seconds later I'm making up my mind. Someone's going to be very disappointed. So it's still the best bang bang call. But when you're in good spot, and again, you have a sense of things. It's got to hit you in the chest type of thing. If you get hip, you get other parts of the body. That's not a charge in my world. That's a block if the contact is severe enough to blow the whistle. But if you take one and you're there, then again, I think it's still a key piece of defense, and kids should be rewarded for that if the contact is clearly severe enough to blow the whistle. So
right.
Block charge on a bang bang is still a good call for me.
Yeah. I mean, I like both of the what you guys came up with. I know as a coach, I was always complaining about a hand check. It's like, you guys just tell me what it is, and then I can coach my kids accordingly. So
Correct.
that was just me. I know old Mr. Newcomer, he used to hate it. I would bark at him all the time and said, "Mel, you got to tell me what it is." Well, I can't tell you, Dell. I said, "Well, sure you can. You can just say what it is, so I can teach my kids the appropriate way." So, he used to get mad at me and vice versa, but that's okay. Let me ask you a mechanical question. So Chuck's was talking block charge, and a lot of times when I go to a game, sometimes I'm like close to the baseline. Every once in a while, McCaskey, they'll put me almost to the baseline in that dead corner. But as you guys are refereeing with a three-man crew, which we do all the time now, what happens when there's a tough angle? So the guy underneath is seeing this, and the guy out on the foul line seeing the block charge. When I was refereeing way back, I had my license for a while, but probably 40 years ago. But we always talked about the guy underneath would come out with a call. Is that kind of the way it still works today?
Yeah, I think most times we defer to I think the lead has the best look, but with three-person mechanics, if that lead passes and the C feels like that something's needed, they're free to come in and take it. But the lead generally has first shot at it is the rule we go by. Unless it's that ball handler pushing off a defender type thing,
Yeah.
then it's whoever's primary matchup it is
Yeah,
at
well,
that point.
we saw that last night in Duke game down and one in the corner. There was one in
Yeah.
the corner
Yeah.
play. The guy just cleared him
Yeah,
out.
he made it pretty easy on him.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he threw his arm out, and there was a little flopping on top of that.
Little
So,
bit, little bit, but
uh,
it was a
I
needed
mean,
call. I
that
thought the
place.
refs did a pretty good job
Yeah,
last night. It was a tough
yeah,
game.
I did too. There was some like balls being tipped and things, but they didn't, there wasn't a quick whistle, which was it was good to see. Let's talk about what you guys are doing to recruit new referees. I mean, what's your setup in the LL Referees Association? How can somebody get involved if somebody's watching this tonight, an ex-player, and say, you know what? I can do as good a job as those guys. And how do they start? I mean, what's the process here?
Well, I just asked Jay Gallagher, who's in charge of our recruitment, what our numbers are, and we're actually at 130 right now, which is +5 from last year. So that's good to be a plus. That's after we had some retirements and things like that. But I mean, it's really at this point word of mouth. I talk to a lot of guys in men's leagues and stuff like that. Ones I think have the temperament and the look and all that, and try to talk to them about it. We had Randy Pierre a couple years ago, an ex-player who was doing a great job and then decided to move to South Carolina. So that didn't help us. But that's the biggest thing. For a while, we did classes at the colleges, Lebanon Valley, Millersville, some of the other local schools. That would get us one or two here and there, but it wasn't really worth the bang for the buck. So it's we've run ads and papers, in the past, but it's more word of mouth. And once they go in past the test, then it's a matter of contacting us, joining the chapter. We get them set up with training, youth games to get their feet wet and get them ramped up that way. But there's always games out there for them. There's no doubt about it.
How long does it take someone, I don't know, let's say like me or a rec guy that's used to doing two-man to get used to a three-man rotation in the high school level?
I mean, it's an official's really not going to get into three-person till second, third year unless they go in the summer. That's kind of what a lot of us did. Chuck and I back in the day when three-person was just getting going. I mean, we just go work it in the summer, for free a lot of times. But they're not going to. We make sure they know two-person first before we threw them all into the deep end. If you can learn two-person, you can learn three-person. I think two-person's harder a lot of times than three-person from a much more court coverage.
Yeah.
There's still the same, and people say you don't run as much in three. I disagree with that. You still run the same amount. It's just you have certain areas to look at in three-person. So it's just different from that regard. So to kind of answer your question, their third year, they're going to start getting into, attending trainings and things like that to ramp up on the three-person.
So I know sometimes I talk to fans as far as a play called in high school as opposed to a play called in college. So let's say I have a foul, I go over and record at the table. Now, do I go to the other side or do I stay at that side with the table and the coach?
Chuck, you want to handle that?
Sure. In high school, you're staying at the table. So when you go over and report a foul, and we're going to shoot that foul, I'm going to stay table side, and then we'll bump accordingly with the other two officials. The only time we'd be opposite is either to start a half or obviously to administer a technical foul situation. So we are table side. There's some good and bad to that. I mean, obviously you're going to have a conversation whether you like it or not sometimes, and that's okay. Again, you have to manage that and deal with that. There are times it'd be nice to go across the court and just wave at a coach versus having to have a heart to heart in 10 seconds or less and try to make sure we're on the same page. But we're table side, so we should be there on those calls.
And I know the college game goes opposite. They make the call, they come over to the table and they run the other way. So they don't quite get the ear of the coaches who are putting on a show for the TV at that point too as well. I do want to commend the association, the refs last year. And I know sometimes 2 years ago, I know Chuck, you and I talked about it. It's like, oh man, I didn't see any technicals. And then last year it seemed everywhere I went, I was like, oh, there's another one, there's another one. But I really feel the last couple years have been pretty good. I think the refs listen to the coaches enough. I know they got to blow off steam, and I know Chuck, you were a coach at one point, so you kind of understand. It's like that block charge. It don't matter what you're seeing as a coach. You're like, I want that call, and you see the tape later on, but it's too late to see the tape. You're frustrated. And I think you guys do a great job of listening and calming people down a little bit. But I also think, just me, I think our LL coaches, all in all, are really well behaved. I mean, they have their moments, but there's not. When I go to a game, I'm there like, that guy's gonna get a technical tonight. It doesn't matter who's reffing because he's a hothead. I just don't see that. I don't know what you guys see. I mean, you've been around long enough to see if there's trends or how it's going. Gary, you want to start?
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I think the LL coaches as a whole, on the boys' side anyway, I can't comment on the girls' side. I think we have a good rapport with. I think there's no coaches that I dread going into their gym at the moment. So I think they want to be heard. And as long as you let them know I'm listening, I'm looking for that, and don't ignore them, you can have a good relationship with them and just communicate. They may not like your answer, but as long as you give them an answer, hey, this is what I saw. Okay, coach, I'll look for that, and let them know I'm listening to you. I'm working hard out here. They're going to be fine. And sometimes you got to know too, yeah, I think we messed that call up, and give them a little extra leeway to blow off some steam. Tim Bartholomew, told me a long time ago, he would give the coach his time, but then he'd say, okay, coach, we're moving on now,
Yeah.
and I'll say that to a coach, now we got to move on.
Yeah, that's a
And,
good.
I'll
That's a
give you,
good
but I'll give you that extra steam to blow off because I think you have a good point here, and I'll let him go a little further, but I enjoy talking to coaches. I enjoy talking to the kids too,
Yeah.
you know, and I encourage young officials to communicate with the kids out there. When you're shooting free throws, talk to them. It doesn't just have fun with them out there. As long, they see you more as human then, and not just that referee out there.
Yeah. Chuck, what's your thoughts?
Absolutely. Again, we're truly blessed in the Lancaster Lebanon League, where I believe most coaches are solid citizens. They're there to work with you as much as an official. You'll need to work with them. And again, you don't have the balance is I don't have 15 minutes to talk about a call like we're doing right now tonight. It's a quick turnaround. And again, I always say, listen, I don't doubt what you saw, because I think sometimes he's got the best seat position, on the court at a moment. Again, whether he understands the play or not, that's a whole nother thing. But, I think they see things, and you say, hey, listen, as Gary alluded to, I'm watching for you. I hear you. And you try to keep the game balanced. And again, if we have 57 calls for blue and none for white, then we're not doing the job we need to as a crew. And I think if you get to that point, you'll get some some leverage and some leeway from the coaches that, hey, these guys are working hard. So that's all you can add.
Let me close with this, because last year we had a nice rule change. I'm not going to say it's a nice rule change because I'm still not used to it, but the fouls per quarter. So did as you guys were refereeing, did you see coaches take advantage of this, or did it take a while to say, you know what, I got 2 fouls to give in the second quarter, I'm going to give them? Or is it just like, hey, we're going to play, and if I need it at the end of the game, just like we've had in the past, that's what we're going to do at the end of the game? Gary, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Chuck.
Little bit of both, but in the first half, it's one of those things. Do you want to put a foul on a kid? You know, he may not be in foul trouble now, but he picks up 2 quickies in the second half. Now, because of that one, he's in foul trouble. I did have a couple coaches sub in bench players
Mm-hmm.
to do that. They had maybe 3 fouls and had one to give. They'd sub the bench players in to take one, and then they'd sub them back out. So I saw a few times they took advantage of it. Not a ton, but I love the new rule though. I really liked it.
Chuck, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't sure how it may flow, but I think it did take away the dreaded hacking. At the end of a quarter or a half. Where again you might just elevate the emotions in a game because you're trying to do the right thing and it's a fair basketball play. So 5 is 5. If you get there, now you're going to be penalized with 2 shots, and again that's not giving you that 1-and-1 we used to grow up with, where you could make a miss. It's certainly a gamble to understand where you want to be and how you want to utilize a foul towards the end of a quarter or obviously the game. So again, I think it's been good, like Gary. I think it moves things along, and it's a different strategy than when we used to have 7 and 1-and-1.
Do you guys think the games went quicker or about the same?
Yeah, about the same, I
Yeah.
think. Maybe slightly quick. I don't think it slowed things down at all, but I didn't notice a speeding up of the game.
Correct.
All right. Hey, I'll give you guys last shot here, Gary. Anything that you wanna say to everybody out there? What few viewers we have, or hello hoops, or anything in general? You're on.
No, just looking forward to the season, looking forward to scrimmages, seeing the coaches, players again, and fellow officials, and just and you guys, you and Andy and the crew in gyms. I mean, we always know it's a big game when we see you walk in. So it's always makes us feel good. So, but no, just looking forward to the season. I just got done with football, so I'm ready to ramp into basketball now. So.
I always tell the refs when we're there, I said, this tape's going to Mechanicsburg, so you guys do a good job. I always get a chuckle out. Most of the guys, the new guys are looking at me like, who in the hell is this guy? Who is this? What is he talking about? And then I always point to the older guy and I said, I'm sorry you have to work with him tonight. And they're like, what? All right, Chuck, I'll give you a minute here or less. What do you got?
Again, appreciate tonight's opportunity to talk. Hope we do it some more in the future. And I'll echo Gary's sentiment that it's good to have you guys involved. Just like the cable TV networks, when I grew up, we didn't have any of that outlet to expose players in the community. So it's great to be able to be a part of that. And it's always good to see your smiling face, and we'll do our best again this season to make the LL proud. So we're good to be here.
Oh, I'll tell you guys what, it's a lot easier doing what I do than what I used to do. It is so much easier. I can watch the game and I can say, that's pretty good call, no problem. And when something goes haywire, I can say, I can see that, but it's a long game and all that. So it's all good. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Good luck this year. We start a little early this year, a couple weeks from now.
Yep.
So most of the LL teams did not schedule that first weekend. There's a couple, but not too much. We have all the schedules up, and most of the schedules up. We have some tweaking to do, but yeah. So we'll see you soon. We'll see you very soon. Thank you, guys.
See you, Doug.